Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Fame knows no bounds, business opportunities are limitless, learning is infinite, and wisdom is vast. Just as steel becomes harder with an increase in carbon content, people become wiser with the growth of wisdom. Knowledge is acquired, while wisdom is cultivated. Knowledge is a summary of experience. Wisdom is a product of thought. Knowledge represents the branches, twigs, and leaves. Wisdom is the fragrant flowers and abundant fruits. Archimedes used his wisdom to repeatedly thwart the powerful Roman army's advances. Bill Gates, through his wisdom, ushered humanity into the age of networking. The Buddha remains immortal through his wisdom, and Jesus shines with a divine halo because of his wisdom. Oh, wisdom! You are the symbol of strength, the source of wealth, the bridge to the mysterious, and the touchstone for distinguishing truth from falsehood. You are both the fierce storm and the bright spring sun, both the weapon of the devil and the arm of the angel, both the olive branch that transforms swords into plowshares and the smoke of war in times of chaos. A mind without wisdom is like a barren desert, pale and desolate. A mind with wisdom is like a beautiful landscape, full of splendor. Nature is mesmerizing and captivating due to its ever-changing phenomena. People are admirable for their rich wisdom. Seeking wealth is not as valuable as seeking wisdom. Wealth is lifeless, while wisdom is alive. Wealth may disperse when a person dies, but wisdom shines even more brightly upon one's death. Wealth can be stolen, lost, or robbed, but wisdom always accompanies its owner, illuminating their life. Wisdom is boundless and inexhaustible. By engaging in deep thought and research, wisdom emerges from all phenomena. Through meditation and reflection, wisdom can arise at any time and place. Wisdom can transform decay into magic, give wings to thought, serve as the lever to move the earth, and act as the rainbow spanning time and space. It is the warm sun in winter, the cool breeze in summer, the flowers of spring, the fruits of autumn, the oasis in the desert, the willows in the Gobi, the torch rising in the darkness, and the scattered islands in the vast ocean. People become great because of wisdom, broad-minded due to wisdom, rich in depth because of wisdom, and have a promising future due to wisdom. Conversely, people are impoverished due to a lack of wisdom, incomprehensible because of a lack of wisdom, drifting and unstable because of a lack of wisdom, and their life and life become dull and colorless without wisdom. The source of wisdom comes from the greatest creator. Only by following the way of the greatest creator can one cultivate boundless wisdom. Wisdom that benefits humanity originates from reverence for the greatest creator, reverence for life, and reverence for nature. Wisdom that harms humanity stems from selfishness, greed, and lawlessness. The chapter of wisdom is but a small wave on the ocean of wisdom. Like the chapter of Revelations, its purpose is to inspire the thinking of Chanyuan celestials, guiding everyone into the magnificent palace of wisdom, appreciating the vast gentleness of the ocean of wisdom, experiencing the expansive brilliance of the space and time of wisdom, and climbing toward the highest realm of life and life under the illumination of the light of wisdom. Along the way, let us gather the pearls of happiness and extend our lives to the celestial islands continent of the Elysium world. 石头渡河, crossing the river as stones. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Under the golden sunlight, the sky was vast, with light clouds drifting and a gentle breeze blowing. A great river sparkled as it flowed slowly. To the east of the river lay a boundless sandy beach, barren and lifeless, with only a few foxes coming to drink from the river in the evening. Occasionally, a lizard could be seen scurrying across the scorching pebbles in search of food, and crabs would sometimes crawl ashore, glance around, and then quickly dive back into the water. On the west side of the river, the scene was entirely different. Instead of a sandy beach, there was a lush wetland filled with herds of cattle and sheep, cranes dancing in the sky, frogs leaping about, and fish and shrimp swimming freely. The river was the boundary, and the scenery on either side was as different as heaven and earth, utterly contrasting. Whenever a light drizzle fell, white mist would spread, or when the clouds reflected the setting sun and a rainbow appeared faintly, a young stone on the eastern shore, named Shirtu, would fall into deep thought. He longed for the scenery on the other side and was tired of the lifeless sandy beach where his family had lived for generations. He wanted to go to the other side, to enjoy the beautiful scenery on the west bank. One day, a torrential rainstorm mixed with hail came pouring down from the sky, causing little Shitta's back to ache. He could no longer bear it and began to run wildly on the sandy beach, shouting as he ran, "I want to go to the other side! I want to go to the other side!" After the rain stopped and the sky cleared, everything became tranquil again, but the sandy beach was in an uproar. Someone has a wild idea of going to the west side. Poor child, he must be crazy. Ignorance, sheer ignorance. What foolishness! This guy's brain is not normal. He should be sent to a mental hospital for treatment. Whose child is this? How can he talk such nonsense? He should be locked up in prison. We can't let him confuse people with his wild talk. We need to strengthen basic education, or the order of this great sandy beach will be disrupted by such delusional people. Finally, the ancient stone on the beach spoke up. We must hold a grand assembly for all the stones on the beach and invite our esteemed and wise scholars to educate the younger generation and save them from these wayward thoughts. The young stone who wanted to go to the other side was surrounded, and the wise stones began to bombard him with their wisdom. You want to go to the west side? Isn't that just wishful thinking? Have you ever heard of a stone crossing the river? Child, we can't entirely blame you. We elders haven't given you enough basic education. You must understand that if a stone tries to cross the river, it will inevitably drown. The weight of stones is greater than the buoyancy of the river's water, so stones cannot float on water. The conclusion is, stones cannot cross the river. Don't indulge in fantasies. Accept your fate. Stones are not birds. We cannot reach the other side. Poor little Shirtu was completely confused by the well-meaning education. He hung his head, tears welling up in his eyes, muttering only one sentence, "I just want to go to the west side," as he silently withdrew from the crowd to live in solitude. One day, a few stones of the same age came to find him. They also yearned for the life on the west side. They came to the riverbank and gazed at the picturesque scenery on the other side, and began to chatter excitedly among themselves. To cross the river, it's best to take a boat. To cross the river, it would be best if we could fly like birds. To cross the river, it would be best to ride on the back of a crab. To cross the river, it would be best if we hollowed out our insides. To cross the river, it would be best if a strong wind could carry us over to the other side. As they were fervently discussing, a few boys came by and stopped beside them. They were humans, perhaps drawn by the stone's strong will. One of the boys said to his companions, "Let's have a contest to see who can throw a stone across the river so that it skims the water's surface and reaches the other side." In an instant, these boys eagerly picked up stones at their feet and hurled them toward the other side of the river. Whoosh, swoosh, whoosh. One after another, the little stones skimmed the water's surface and flew across to the other side. Rumors quickly spread across the great sandy beach. Did you hear? It's said that those disobedient boys insisted on crossing the river and all drowned. Exactly. How could a stone possibly cross the river? It's no surprise they drowned. From now on, everyone must be vigilant. We must not allow fanciful ideas to take root, and we must prevent our children from going near the river. Living within our means is the key to a safe life. We stones can never cross the river. As the old saying goes, if you don't listen to the elders, you'll drown in the river. Can stones cross the river? Can humans reach the celestial island's continent? 我的6个小时上哪去了? Where did my 6 hours go? Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, or so we think. But hold on a moment. On April 30th, 2005, I only had 18 hours. Where did my other 6 hours go? On the evening of April 29th at 7 p.m., to make it easier to understand, I'll use rounded times. I boarded a Zimbabwean Airlines flight to Beijing. After an overnight flight, I arrived at Beijing International Airport at 12 p.m. on April 30th, a total flight time of 17 hours. Here's where things get tricky. 12 p.m. on April 30th was the time on my watch, but Beijing time was already 6 p.m. To keep things simple, I had to adjust my watch to 6 p.m. And just like that, I ended up with only 18 hours on April 30th, with 6 hours that should have belonged to me disappearing. So, where did they go? Of course, this was caused by the time zone difference. But regardless, in terms of human conceived time, I only lived 18 hours that day. Now let's speculate. The time difference is caused by horizontal space. Different horizontal spaces have different times. As long as we move from one space to another, we will inevitably gain or lose time. Using Earth as the origin, let's draw a coordinate axis. The x-axis represents the east, the y-axis represents the west, the n-axis represents the north, and the s-axis represents the south. Now, if we travel eastward along the x-axis, we will lose time. If we travel westward, we will gain time. For example, if we fly from Beijing to Zimbabwe in one day, we could have 30 hours that day. If we travel northward or southward, we neither gain nor lose time. Interesting, isn't it? Let's think further. Traveling from Zimbabwe to Beijing in one day results in a loss of 6 hours. If we take 2 days to get to Beijing, how many hours will we lose? Still 6 hours, of course. By analogy, even if it takes a year to get to Beijing, the lost time is still 6 hours. Here's a fascinating question. If we could travel from Harare to Beijing in 1 hour, we would still lose 6 hours. So what if we could do it in 1 second? Naturally, we would still lose 6 hours. Losing 6 hours in 1 second seems like a bad deal. But wait, what is lost may actually be gained. We would gain negative time, which belongs to the realm of the non-material world, a topic for another day. Now, imagine losing 24 hours in a single day. What would happen? If you fly eastward from Harare along the x-axis and return to Harare within 24 hours, you would end up losing an entire day. If you depart on the 1st, after just 24 hours of flight, you wouldn't arrive on the 2nd but on the 3rd. As a result, a year would no longer have 365 days but 364. Even more interestingly, what if we flew like this every day? If we had a fast enough flying tool, we could reduce an entire year of 365 days to just 1 day. By analogy, we could reduce 1,000 years to a day, 10,000 years to a day, or even 100,000 years to a day. Similarly, if we flew westward along the y-axis, we could extend a single day into 100,000 years. Simple reasoning, once it exceeds people's imagination, becomes profound theory. When science surpasses people's understanding, it turns into superstition. Life-Chanuan's 36-dimensional spaces have both surpassed people's imagination and transcended their understanding. So they have become an absurdity, and people view them as an intangible theory. If we can compress a day into 18 hours or compress a year into 1 day, why can't we compress 100,000 years into 1 day? Similarly, if we can expand a day to 30 hours or stretch a day into 365 days, why can't we expand a day into 100,000 years? Flying along the x-axis, we can reach the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world. Flying along the y-axis, we can reach the Elysium world. Flying along the n-axis and s-axis, we can only reincarnate in place, stuck in a loop. We need speed. With speed, stones can cross rivers, and humans can reach the Celestial Islands continent. A carriage is faster than walking, a car is faster than a carriage, and an airplane is faster than a car. A spaceship is faster than an airplane, but even if we could sit on a light-speed spaceship, it would still be too slow. So, what kind of flying tool should we use? Think about it. If we constantly ponder the mysteries of heaven and earth, the wondrous truths will one day reveal themselves. I want to ask everyone, what kind of person do you think Xiefeng is? Kongling Xiu. Emptiness, spirit, grace. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The void holds myriad phenomena, and within the void, myriad phenomena exist. When the mind is empty, spiritual energy arises. When spirit arises, a person becomes graceful. Chanyuan celestials, born from spiritual mountains, embody emptiness, spirit, and grace, filling the heavenly garden. The masses are weighed down, their hearts filled with rubbish. Though they appear lively, they are actually confused beings. They have ears but do not listen. They have eyes but do not see. I have just said, 1. And they continue with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All I can do is shake my head and sigh. Stones do not bloom, yet the sky creates colorful clouds. Fruits ripen and decay, yet the empty land can grow crops. An empty house is useful, and an empty heart reveals a bright celestial realm. Empty your heart, throw away yourself, and clarity will emerge. When flowers are fragrant, butterflies come naturally. When the mind is calm, thoughts flow effortlessly. When the body is clean, illness departs on its own. When the heart is pure, celestial beings arrive. As long as the heart is empty, the true result will naturally come early. Fear of death, fear of poverty, fear of loneliness, fear of solitude. All arise because the heart is not empty. Worry, anger, madness, hatred, all stem from an unemptied heart. Anxiety, fear, terror, and dread come from a heart that is not empty. Desiring to stand out, to bring honor to one's ancestors, to dominate the world, to leave a legacy. All are signs of a heart that is not empty. When the heart is not empty, everything becomes empty. When seeking to possess, in the end, nothing is gained. The principle is simple, but practicing it is as difficult as reaching heaven. Emptiness allows possession of all things, while non-emptiness is like chasing fleeting clouds. Whatever you think about will come as long as your mind is sincere. Whatever you fear will come as long as your mind is restless. Do not be a good person, nor a bad person. Do not do good deeds, nor evil deeds. Do not seek truth, nor falsehood. Return to your true nature, for true nature is the nature of the Tao. Entering the Tao brings life. The Tao is empty, and it controls all beings. Buddha is empty, and Buddhist laws govern the universe. Oh, humans, if your hearts are not empty, how can you attain the Tao and become a Buddha? Throughout history, sages have sought emptiness and ultimately accomplished their lives. Common people have always sought gold and ended up with an illusory life. Mountains have spirit and vegetation flourishes. Waters have spirit and fish and turtles abound. The sky has spirit and the weather is favorable. The earth has spirit and all things thrive. Humans have spirit and their charm is infinite. Oh, humans, quickly seek spirit. Without spirit, one is no better than an earthworm. Greed, laziness, anger, and hatred all arise because spirit has not touched the heart. Poverty and suffering throughout life also stem from a heart without spirit. Seeking spirit is not difficult. Just enter Life Genuine, and the method is simple. Fill your heart with the knowledge of the greatest creator. The most beautiful people in the world are in Life Genuine. Foshan, Taiji, Penglai celestials are flawless. Bailing, Wanyan, Qianyan celestial shine with a spiritual light. Xianhe, Lingji, Shueshan celestials are like treasure mountains. In the world, who can compare to the celestials of Chanyuan? Wherever there is spirit, there is grace. The bright moon shines among the pine trees, and the clear spring flows over the rocks. The gentle breeze blows, colorful clouds fill the sky. The warm sun paints the forest shade, and the reefs and sea waves harmonize, creating scenes that resemble the images of heaven shared by Wanyan Celestial. Grace is fragrant and alluring, captivating the soul. Grace is like a celestial peach, tempting to the taste. I love grace, the graceful wilderness, the graceful rivers and streams, the graceful blue sky, and the graceful people. Grace is not heavy makeup, but simple elegance. Grace is not flamboyant, but simple and pure. Grace is not a storm, but a gentle drizzle. Grace is not fiery passion, but a love that cannot be severed. To live among the Chanyuan celestials is to live within grace, lightly loving, deeply longing. If you wish to become a celestial, strive to find the space of emptiness, spirit, and grace. If you wish to become a celestial, you must plan your life around emptiness, spirit, and grace. If you wish to become a celestial, spread your love to the world. If you wish to become a celestial, join in building Life Genuine. 务虚与务实, balancing the abstract and the concrete. Xiefeng, July 12, 2005. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Abstract refers to the non-material, intangible, elusive, unseen, unheard, untouchable, and without a trace. Concrete refers to substances that are tangible, practical, and can be seen, heard, touched, and traced. The abstract belongs to the realm of the spirit and mind. The concrete belongs to the realm of physical existence and practical use. Focusing on the abstract means pursuing ideals and beliefs, adhering to faith and morality, emphasizing consciousness and spirit, and elevating character and quality. Focusing on the concrete means pursuing practical value, primarily aiming to fulfill the material conditions necessary for basic survival, such as food, clothing, shelter, transportation, sexual desire, and safety. The lower a life's level, the more it focuses on the concrete. The more it focuses on the concrete, the lower the quality of life. Focusing on the concrete is for survival. The higher a life's level, the more it focuses on the abstract. The more it focuses on the abstract, the higher the quality of life. Focusing on the abstract is for living. The abstract and the concrete are opposites yet unified. Neither should be neglected. Survival is the foundation for better living. Living is the sublimation for better survival. To walk the way of the greatest creator, one must balance both the abstract and the concrete. The concrete ensures survival, while the abstract elevates the quality of life, leading to a higher level of existence. The concrete provides the conditions for focusing on the abstract, and the abstract fulfills the qualities of a celestial being. Ordinary people are ordinary primarily because they focus on the concrete all their lives, neglecting the abstract. Those who go to extremes in spiritual practice, neglecting the issues of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, safety, and sexual desire, mainly focus on the abstract while neglecting the concrete. The wise are those who appropriately balance the abstract and the concrete, neglecting neither. Celestial beings are those who have fully experienced life, solve the problem of survival, and then spend much of their time focusing on the abstract. Those who purely focus on the abstract are either gods or demons. There was a pig, deeply engrossed in reading. The other pigs in the pen couldn't understand and asked, "Brother, we have no worries about food and drink. Our master feeds us, and we live so freely and happily. Why bother yourself with reading and thinking?" The reading pig replied meaningfully, "If we don't read and think, we will always be pigs. If we don't read and think, we can only have contentment, not happiness. Contentment is short-lived, while happiness is long-lasting. Contentment comes from temporary satisfaction, while happiness comes from enduring peace of mind. Think about it. We spend our lives confined in this pig pen, with only a small patch of sky to look at, and just a few square meters to move around in. The worst part is that once we're fattened up, the slaughterhouse is our only destination. Thinking of this, I can't be content. To avoid this disaster, I must read. Forget it, brother. Live for today. We are pigs, after all, and slaughter is our fate. Accept it, the other pigs said. Brothers, you focus on the concrete and be content. I will focus on the abstract. I don't want to be a pig anymore. I want to become human because only humans can find true happiness, the reading pig said firmly. Can a pig become a human? Asked one thoughtful pig. The reading pig replied, yes, absolutely. Once I have human thoughts, I am no longer a pig but a human. Even if you have human thoughts, can you escape the disaster of being slaughtered? The pig continued to ask. The reading pig said decisively, the evolution from pig to human is gradual. In this life, I am still a pig, unable to avoid disaster, but in the next life, I won't be a pig anymore. I will become a human because the saints among humans say that the form of life corresponds to the way of thinking. If I have human thoughts, I will have a human form of existence. In fact, when I realize that I will be a human in the next life, I already feel a sense of happiness. Sometimes, I even hope the disaster comes quickly, so I can end this life as a pig and start living as a human. The reading pig continued speaking to the group of pigs. Brothers, in the next life, you will still be pigs, but I will appear before you in human form. Brother, you make sense. I want to be a human too. Being a pig truly doesn't bring happiness, the thoughtful pig said, as if having an epiphany. The reading pig quietly told it, while we have food and shelter, seize the time to focus on the abstract. If you don't focus on the concrete, You won't have a comfortable life, and poverty is unpleasant. If you don't focus on the abstract, the best you can hope for is to stay where you are. Pigs will remain pigs, and humans will remain humans. 避免小负荷能量的长期冲击. Avoid the long-term impact of small load energy. Xiefeng, February 14th, 2007. Translation edited by Qin Yu. When studying metal materials, our teacher took us to the Zhangjiago Exploration Machinery Factory for a first-hand observation of metal material property testing. A series of testing machines were used to evaluate the tensile strength, compressive strength, bending strength, and other properties of various metals, determining the limit values of each characteristic. For example, a metal rod would be tested to see how much force it could withstand before breaking, or how long it could endure repeated small load impacts before eventually fracturing. I've forgotten the specific parameters, but I remember this. No matter how tough the metal, if subjected to continuous small load impacts, it will eventually break. This truly reflects the saying, "A rope saws through wood, and water drops pierce stone." Even seemingly insignificant forces, when applied consistently over time to an object, person, or principle, will eventually lead to a significant change. A one-time heavy blow can destroy a person, leaving them unable to recover. However, it is often the unnoticeable small load impacts that are the primary culprits in ruining a person's life. A tiny grain of sand in a shoe can stop someone from moving forward, and a small speck of dust in the eye can make it impossible to open. A bedridden loved one can cause someone to abandon their grand ambitions and plans, and a single point of pain in the body can instantly erode a person's confidence. A pure river can become polluted by one factory discharging a little sewage here and another factory dumping some waste there, eventually making the river impure. A clean street can become filthy if one person spits here and another person throws a bit of garbage there. A perfect natural environment can be degraded by one factory emitting smoke, another dumping trash, one car emitting carbon dioxide, and a refinery spilling waste oil. Eventually, nature will fall ill. A person with a healthy and positive mindset may lose their optimism after facing constant criticism, gossip, fault-finding, and nagging from others. Over time, they may lose their positivity and even begin to doubt themselves. An anthill, though small, can cause the collapse of a 1,000-mile-long dike if not blocked in time. A tiny pinhole in a gas pipe, if not discovered and repaired promptly, can lead to a catastrophic disaster. A seemingly harmless family thief who steals small amounts daily, if not caught and stopped in time, can eventually steal the entire household. In a harmonious group, a person who spreads rumors may seem harmless at first, but if not exposed and dealt with in time, they can turn harmony into conflict, causing the group to fall apart and leading to irreparable damage. As the saying goes, one rotten apple spoils the whole barrel. Life is not easy, but what usually breaks a person is not external difficulties or harsh conditions, but the constant impact of small load forces from within. It's not a single blow that drives someone to suicide, but rather the continuous small load impacts that lead to self-destruction. The Sutra of Land Celestial Beings says, "Avoid anger at dawn. It harms the lungs and damages the liver." This means that one should not frequently lose their temper in the morning. A person who often feels upset in the morning will have shortness of breath and poor liver function, leading to a day of low energy or mental exhaustion. Therefore, within a family or group, members should avoid criticizing or nitpicking each other in the morning. Instead, they should encourage and uplift each other in the morning and save any dissatisfaction for the afternoon or evening. To prevent the continuous impact of small load energy, husbands and wives, parents and children, siblings, friends, and colleagues should avoid frequently criticizing and nitpicking each other. Long-term exposure to even a few hurtful words can lead to declining health, the collapse of family or business, broken relationships, lost confidence, and the destruction of a person's future and life. In life, one must maintain a positive, optimistic, and determined spirit. Even in the face of difficulties and adversity, one must not lose confidence and courage. As the saying goes, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and heaven never seals off all the exits. Therefore, it is essential to avoid and guard against those who are often pessimistic and constantly nagging and spreading pessimistic views. My advice is to say goodbye to those who frequently criticize and nitpick, and goodbye to those who keep nagging and spreading pessimistic views, because they are the small load energies that may seem insignificant but can eventually break an iron rod.